There. It's 9 o'clock. We've drunk the soup and eaten the fish and chips and the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten very well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Smith. Potatoes are very good, fried in fat. The salad oil was not rancid. The oil from the grocer at the corner is better quality than the oil from the grocer across the street. It is even better than the oil from the grocer at the bottom of the street. However, I prefer not to tell them that their oil is bad. However, the oil from the grocer at the corner is still the best. Mary did the potatoes very well this evening. The last time, she did not do them well. I do not like them when they are well done. The fish was fresh. It made my mouth water. I had 2 helpings. No, 3 helpings. That made me go to the WC. You also had 3 helpings. However, the 3rd time, you took less than the first 2 times, while as for me, I took a great deal more. I eat better than you this evening. Why is that? Usually, it is you who eats more. It is not appetite you lack. But still, the soup was perhaps a bit too salt. It was saltier than you. It also had too many leeks and not enough onions. I regret I didn't advise Mary to add some aniseed stars. The next time I'll know better. Our little boy wanted to drink some beer. He's going to love getting tiddly. He's like you. At table, did you notice how he stared at the bottle? But I poured some water from the jug in his glass. He was thirsty, and he drank it. Helen is like me. Thrifty, a good manager, plays the piano. She never asks to drink English beer. She's like our little daughter, who drinks only milk and eats only porridge. It's obvious that she's only 2. She's named Peggy. The quince and bean pie was marvelous. It would have been nice, perhaps, to have a small glass of Australian burgundy with the sweet, but I did not bring the bottle to the table because I do not wish to set the children a bad example of gluttony. They must learn to be sober and temperate. Mrs. Parker knows a Romanian grocer by the name of Popescu Rosenfeld, who has just come from Constantinople. He is a great specialist in yogurt. He has a diploma from the School of Yogurt Making in Adrianople. Tomorrow, I shall buy a large pot of native Romanian yogurt from him. One does not often find such things here, in the suburbs of London. Yogurt is excellent. excellent for the stomach, the kidneys, the appendicitis, the apotheosis. It was Dr. Mackenzie King who told me that. He's the one who takes care of the children of our neighbors, the Johns. He's a good doctor. One can trust him. He never prescribes any medication that he has not first tried out on himself. Why, before operating on Parker, he had his own liver operated on first, although he was not the least bit ill.
But how does it happen that the doctor pulled through while Parker died?
Because the operation was successful in the doctor's case and it was not in Parker's.
Then Mackenzie is not a good doctor. The operation should have succeeded in both of their cases, or else both should have died.
Why?
A conscientious doctor must die with his patient if they can't get well together. The captain of a ship goes down with his ship into the briny deep. He does not survive alone.
But one cannot compare a patient with a ship.
Why not? A ship has its diseases too. Moreover, your doctor is as hale as a ship. That's why he should have perished at the same time as his patient, like a captain and his ship.
Ah, I hadn't thought of that. Perhaps it is true. And then, what conclusions do you draw from this?
All doctors are quacks. All patients too. Only the Royal Navy is honest in England.
But not sailors.
Naturally. Here's a thing I don't understand. In the newspaper, they always give the age of the deceased persons, but never the age of the newly born. Why is that?
I never thought of that.
It says here that Bobby Watson died.
My God! The poor man, when did he die?
Why do you pretend to be astonished? You know very well he's been dead these past 2 years. Surely you remember we attended his funeral a year and a half ago.
Of course I do remember. I remembered it right away. But I don't understand why you yourself were so surprised to see it in the paper.
It wasn't in the paper. It's been 3 years since his death was announced. I only remembered it through an association of ideas.
What a pity. He was so well preserved.
He was the handsomest corpse in Great Britain. He didn't look his age. Poor Bobby. He'd been dead for 4 years. And his body was still warm. A veritable living corpse. And how cheerful he was.
Poor Bobby.
Which poor Bobby do you mean?
It is his wife that I mean. She's called Bobby too. Bobby Watson. Since they both had the same name, you could never tell one from the other when you saw them together. It was only after his death you could really tell which was which. And there are still people today who confuse her with the deceased and offer their condolences to him. Do you know her?
I only met her once by chance at Bobby's burial.
I've never seen her. Is she pretty?
She has regular features, but one could not say that she is pretty. She's a little too big and stout. Her features are not regular, but still one can say that she is very pretty. She's a little too small and too thin. She's a voice teacher.
And when are they going to be married, those two?
Next spring at the latest.
We shall have to go to their wedding, I suppose.
We shall have to get them a wedding present. I wonder what.
Why don't we give them one of the 7 silver salvers that were given us for our wedding and have never been of any use to us? How sad for her, to be left a widow so young.
Fortunately, they had no children.
That was all they needed. Children. The poor woman. How could she have managed?
She's still young. She might very well remarry. She looks so well in mourning.
But who would take care of the children? You know very well they have a boy and a girl. What are their names?
Bobby and Bobby like their parents. Old Bobby Watson, Bobby Watson's uncle, is a rich man and very fond of the boy. He might very well, in his turn, pay for Bobby's education.
That would be proper. And Bobby Watson's aunt, old Bobby Watson, might very well, in her turn, pay for the education of Bobby Watson, Bobby Watson's daughter, so that Bobby Watson's mother could remarry. Has she anyone in mind?
Yes, a cousin of Bobby Watson's.
Who? Bobby Watson?
Which Bobby Watson do you mean?
Why? The son of old Bobby Watson, the late Bobby Watson's other uncle.
No, it's not that one. It's someone else. It's Bobby Watson, son of old Bobby Watson, the late Bobby Watson's aunt.
Are you referring to Bobby Watson, the commercial traveler?
All of the Bobby Watsons are commercial travelers.
What a difficult trade. However, they do well at it.
Yes, when there's no competition.
And when is there no competition?
On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays.
3 days a week. And what does Bobby Watson do on those days?
He rests, he sleeps.
But why doesn't he work on those 3 days if there's no competition?
I don't know everything. I can't answer all of your idiotic questions.
Oh! Are you trying to humiliate me?
You know very well that I am not.
Men are all alike. You sit there all day long, a cigarette in your mouth, or you rouge your lips and powder your nose 50 times a day, or else you drink like a fish!
But what would you say if you saw men acting like women do? Smoking all day long, powdering, rouging their lips, and drinking whiskey.
It's nothing to me. But if you're only saying that to annoy me, I don't care for that kind of joking. You know that very well.
Oh, my little ducky daddles. What a little spitfire you are. You know I only meant it as a joke. Oh, what a ridiculous pair of old lovers we are. Come, let us put out the lights and go bye-byes.
I am the maid. I have spent a very pleasant afternoon. I've been to the cinema with a man, and I've seen a film with some women. After the cinema, we went to drink some brandy and milk and read the newspaper.
I hope you've spent a pleasant afternoon, that you went to the cinema with a man and drank some brandy and milk.
And the newspaper?
Mr. and Mrs. Martin, your guests, are at the door. They were waiting for me. They didn't dare come in by themselves. They were supposed to have dinner with you this afternoon.
Oh, yes! We were expecting them. And we were hungry. Since they didn't put in an appearance, we were going to start dinner without them. We've had nothing to eat all day. You should not have gone out.
But it was you who gave me permission.
We didn't do it on purpose.
I bought me a chamber pot.
My dear Mary, please open the door and ask Mr. and Mrs. Martin to step in. We will change quickly.
So late. People should be punctual. That is not very polite. Do you understand? But sit down there then anyway and wait now that you're here.
Excuse me, madam, but it seems to me, unless I'm mistaken, that I have met you somewhere before.
I too, sir. It seems to me that I've met you somewhere before.
Was it by any chance at Manchester that I caught a glimpse of you, madam?
That is very possible. I am originally from the city of Manchester, but I do not have a good memory, sir, and I cannot say whether it was there that I caught a glimpse of you or not.
Good God, that's curious. I too am originally from the city of Manchester, madam.
That is curious.
Isn't that curious? Only madam, I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
How curious that is. What a bizarre coincidence. I too, sir. I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
Madam, I took the 8:30 morning train, which arrives in London at 4:45.
How curious that is. How very bizarre. And what a coincidence. I took the same train, sir. I too.
Good Lord, how curious. Perhaps then, madam, it was on the train that I saw you.
It is indeed possible. That is not unlikely. It is plausible. And after all, why not? But I don't recall it, sir.
I travelled second class, madam.
There is no second class in England.
But I always travel second class.
How curious that is. How very bizarre. And what a coincidence. I too, sir. I travelled second class.
How curious that is. Perhaps we did meet in second class, my dear lady.
That is certainly possible. And it is not at all unlikely. But I do not remember very well, my dear sir.
My seat was on coach number 8, compartment 6, dear lady.
How curious that is. My seat was also in coach number 8, compartment 6, dear sir.
How curious that is. And what a bizarre coincidence. Perhaps we met in compartment 6, my dear lady?
It is indeed possible after all. But I do not recall it, sir.
To tell the truth, my dear lady, I do not remember it either. But it is possible that we caught a glimpse of each other there. And as I think of it, it seems to be even very likely.
Oh, truly. Of course. Truly, sir.
How curious it is. Huh. I had seat number 3, next to the window, dear lady.
Oh, good Lord. How curious and bizarre. I had seat number 6, next to the window. Across from you, my dear sir.
Good God! How curious that is! And what a coincidence! We were then seated facing caressing each other, dear lady. It was there that we must have seen each other.
How curious it is. It is indeed possible. But I do not recall it, sir.
To tell the truth, my dear lady, I do not remember it either. However, it is possible that we saw each other on that occasion.
It is true. But I am not at all sure of it, sir.
Dear lady, were you not the lady who asked me to place her suitcase in the luggage rack and who thanked me and gave me permission to smoke?
But of course, that must have been I. How curious it is. How curious it is. And what a coincidence.
How curious it is. How bizarre. And what a coincidence. And well, perhaps it was at that moment that we came to know each other.
How curious it is. It is indeed possible. However, I do not believe that I recall it.
Nor do I, madam. Since coming to London, I have resided in Bromfield Street, dear lady.
How curious that is! How very bizarre and what a coincidence! I too, since coming to London, I have resided in Bromfield Street, my dear sir.
How curious that is! Well then, perhaps we have seen each other in Bromfield Street, my dear lady.
How curious that is! It is indeed possible. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
I reside at number 19, dear lady.
How curious that is! I also reside at number 19, my dear sir.
Well then, perhaps we have seen each other in that house, dear lady.
It is indeed possible, dear sir. But I do not recall it.
I reside on the 5th floor, number 8, dear lady.
How curious it is! Good Lord! How very bizarre! And what a coincidence! I, too, reside on the 5th floor in flat number 8, dear sir.
How curious it is! How curious it is! How curious it is! And what a coincidence! You know, in my bedroom, there is a bed. And it is covered with a green eiderdown. This room with the bed and the green eiderdown is at the end of the corridor between the WC and the bookcase, dear lady.
What a coincidence! Good Lord, what a coincidence! My bedroom, too, has a bed with a green eiderdown and is at the end of the corridor between the WC, dear sir, and the bookcase.
How bizarre! Curious! Strange! Then, madam, we live in the same room and we sleep in the same bed, dear lady. It is perhaps there that we have met.
How curious it is, and what a coincidence. It is indeed possible that we have met there, and perhaps even last night. But I do not recall it, sir.
I have a little girl. My little daughter, she lives with me, dear lady. She's 2 years old, she's blonde, she has a white eye and a red eye. She's very pretty. Her name is Alice, dear lady.
What a bizarre coincidence. I, too, have a little girl. She is 2 years old, has a white eye and a red eye. She is very pretty. And her name is Alice too, dear sir.
How curious it is, and what a coincidence! And bizarre, perhaps they are the same, dear lady?
How curious it is. It is indeed possible, dear sir. However...
Then, dear lady, I believe there can be no doubt about it. We have seen each other before, and you are my own wife, Elizabeth. I have found you again.
Donald! It's you, darling!
Donald and Elizabeth are now too happy to be able to hear me. I can therefore let you in on a secret. Donald is not Donald. Elizabeth is not Elizabeth. And here is the proof. The child that Donald spoke of has one white eye and one red eye, like Elizabeth's daughter, whereas Donald's child has a white right eye and a red left eye. Elizabeth's child has a right red eye and a left white eye. Thus, all of Donald's system of deduction collapses when it comes up against this last obstacle, which destroys his whole theory. In spite of the extraordinary coincidences, which seem to be definitive proofs, Donald and Elizabeth, not being the parents of the same child, are not Donald and Elizabeth. He thinks that he believes in vain that he is Donald. She believes in vain she's Elizabeth. He believes in vain that she is Elizabeth. She believes in vain that he is Donald. They are sadly deceived. But who is the true Donald? Who is the true Elizabeth? Who has any interest in prolonging this confusion? I don't know. Let's not try to know. Let's leave things as they are. My real name is Sherlock Holmes.
Darling, let's forget all that has not passed between us. And now that we have found each other again, let's try not to lose each other anymore and live as before.
Yes, darling.
Good evening, dear friends. Please forgive us for having made you wait so long. We thought that we should extend you the courtesy to which you are entitled. And as soon as we learned that you had been kind enough to give us the pleasure of coming to see us without prior notice, we hurried to dress for the occasion.
We've had nothing to eat all day, and we've waited 4 whole hours for you. Why have you come so late?
Oh, but definitely.
We all have colds.
Nevertheless, it's not chilly.
There's no draft.
Oh no, fortunately.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Don't you feel well?
No. He's wet his pants.
Oh, sir, at your age, you shouldn't.
The heart is ageless.
That's true.
So they say.
They also say the opposite.
The truth lies somewhere between the two.
That's true.
Since you travel so much, you must have many interesting things to tell us.
My dear, tell us what you've seen today.
Oh, it's scarcely worth the trouble, for no one would believe me.
We're not going to question your sincerity.
You will offend us if you think that.
You will offend them, my dear, if you think that.
Oh, well, today I witnessed something extraordinary. Something really incredible.
Tell us quickly, my dear.
This is going to be amusing.
At last.
Well, today, when I went shopping for some vegetables, which are getting to be dearer and dearer.
Where is it all going to end?
You shouldn't interrupt, my dear. It's very rude.
In the street, near a cafe, I saw a man, properly dressed, about 50 years old, or not even that, who
what?
Who what?
Don't interrupt, my dear. You're disgusting.
My dear, it was you who interrupted first, you bore!
Hush! And what was this man doing?
Well, I'm sure you'll say that I'm making this up, but he was down on one knee, and he was bent over.
Oh!
Yes, bent over.
Not possible.
Bent I went near him to see what he was doing, and
And?
he was tying his shoelace, which had come undone.
Fantastic! If someone else had told me this, I'd not believe it.
Why not? One sees things even more extraordinary every day when one walks around. For instance, today in the underground, I myself saw a man quietly sitting on a seat, reading his newspaper.
What a character!
Perhaps it was the same man. Goodness! Someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. Nobody.
I'm going to give you another example.
Goodness! Someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. No one.
You were saying you were going to give us another example.
Oh, yes.
Goodness! Someone is ringing.
I'm not going to open the door again.
Yes, but there must be someone there.
The first time, there was no one. The second time, no one. Why do you think there is someone there now?
Because someone is wrong.
That's no reason.
What? When one hears the doorbell ring, that means there is someone there ringing to have the door opened.
Not always. You have just seen otherwise.
In most cases, yes.
As for me, when I go to visit someone, I ring in order to be admitted. I believe that everyone does the same thing, and that each time we hear the doorbell ring, there must be someone there.
That is true, in theory. In reality, things happen differently. You have just seen otherwise.
Your wife is right.
Oh! You women! Always standing up for each other.
I'll go and see. You can't say that I'm obstinate, but you will see that there's no one there. You see? There's no one there. Oh, these men who always think they're right and who are always wrong.
Goodness, someone is ringing.
Don't send me to open the door again. You have seen that it was useless. Experience teaches us that when one hears the doorbell ring, it is because there is never anyone there.
Never.
That's not entirely accurate.
In fact, it's false. When one hears the doorbell ring, it means someone rang it.
He won't admit he's wrong.
My husband is very obstinate too.
There's someone there.
That's not impossible.
No,
Yes.
I tell you, no. In any case, you are not going to disturb me again for nothing. If you wish to know, go and look yourself.
I'll go. Oh, how do you do? It's the fire chief.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Mrs. Smith. Oh, why, you appear to be angry.
Oh,
You see, my wife is just a little chagrined at being proven wrong.
There's been an argument between Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Mr. Fire Chief.
this is no business of yours. And I beg you not to involve outsiders in our family argument.
My dear, it is not so serious. The fire chief is an old friend of the family. His mother courted me and I knew his father. He asked me to give my daughter in marriage if I ever had one, and he died waiting.
It's neither his fault nor yours. Well, what's this all about?
My husband was claiming.
No, it was you who was claiming.
Yes, it was she.
No, it was he.
Well, don't get excited. See, Mrs. Smith, you tell me.
Well, this is how it was. It is difficult for me to speak openly to you, but a fireman is also a confessor.
Well then.
We were arguing because my husband said each time the doorbell rings there is always someone there.
That's plausible.
And I was saying that each time the doorbell rings there is never anyone there.
It might seem strange.
But it has been proved, not by theoretical demonstrations, but by facts.
That's false. Since the fire chief is here, he rang the bell, I opened the door, and there he was.
When?
But just now.
Yes, but it was only when you heard the doorbell ring the fourth time that there was someone there, and the fourth time does not count.
Never. It's only the first 3 times that count.
Mr. Fire Chief, permit me in my turn to ask you several questions.
Go right ahead.
When I opened the door and I saw you, it was really you who had rung the bell.
Yes, it was I.
You were at the door. And you rang in order to be admitted.
Oh, I do not deny it.
You see, I was right. When we hear the doorbell ring, it means someone rang it. You certainly cannot say that the fire chief is not someone.
Certainly not. But I repeat to you that I was speaking only the first 3 times, since the fourth time does not count.
And when the doorbell rang the first time, was it you?
Oh, no, that was not I.
You see, the doorbell rang and there was no one there.
Perhaps it was someone else.
How long were you standing at the door?
3/4 of an hour.
And you saw no one?
Oh, no one. I am sure of that.
And did you hear the bell when it rang the second time?
Yes, but that wasn't I either. But there was still no one there.
Victory! I was right.
Not so fast. And what were you doing at the door?
Oh, nothing. I mean, I was just standing there. I was thinking. I was thinking of many things.
But the third time! Was it not you who rang?
Oh, yes, that was I.
Oh, but when the door was opened, nobody was inside.
That's because I had hidden myself as a little joke.
Don't make jokes, Mr. Fire Chief. This business is too sad.
In short, we still do not know whether when the doorbell rings, there was someone there or not.
Never anyone.
Always someone.
Well, I'm going to reconcile you.
Sit.
You see, you both are partly right. When the doorbell rings, sometimes there is someone there, but other times there is no one.
This seems logical to me.
I think so too.
You see, life is very simple. Now go on, kiss each other.
We just kissed each other a little while ago.
Oh, they'll kiss tomorrow. They have plenty of time.
Mr. Fire Chief, since you helped us settle this, please make yourself comfortable. Take off your helmet and sit down for a moment.
I don't know if I'll be able to. No. I would like to remove my helmet, but I haven't the time to sit down. Now I must tell you that I've come to see you for another reason. I'm on official business.
And what can we do for you, Mr. Fire Chief?
Well, excuse my indiscretion, but you don't mind in front of them?
Say whatever you like.
We're old friends. They tell us everything.
Speak.
Well, pardon me, but are there any fires here?
Why do you ask us that?
Well, I've been given orders to extinguish all the fires in the city.
All?
Oh, yes, all.
I don't know. I don't think so. Do you want me to go and look?
There can't be anything here. There's no smell of anything burning.
Oh, nothing at all? Not just a little something in the chimney? Or something burning in the attic or in the cellar? Come on, just a little fire. Just starting at least.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I do not believe we have anything here at the moment. I promise. I will notify you when we do have something.
Oh, please do. It would be a great help.
That's a promise.
And there's nothing burning at your house either?
No. Unfortunately.
Things aren't going very well just now.
Oh, very poorly. There's been almost nothing. A few trifles, a chimney, a barn. Nothing important. It doesn't bring in much. And since there are no returns, profits on outputs are very meager.
Times are bad. It's true all over. It's the same this year with business and agriculture as it is with fires. Nothing is prospering.
No wheat, no fires.
Oh, no floods either!
But there is some sugar!
That's because it's imported.
It's harder in the case of fires. The tariffs are too high.
Oh, all the same. There's an occasional asphyxiation by gas, but that's unusual too. For instance, last week a young woman asphyxiated herself. She had left the gas on.
Had she forgotten it?
Oh no, she thought it was her comb.
These confusions are always dangerous.
Did you go see the match dealer?
Oh, there's nothing doing there. He's insured against fires.
Why don't you go see the Vicar of Wakefield and use my name?
I don't have the right to extinguish clergymen's fires. The bishop would get angry. Besides, they have their fires extinguished themselves, or else they have them put out by Vestal virgins.
Go see the Durrans.
I can't do that either. He's not English. And he's only been naturalized. And naturalized citizens have the right to have houses, but not the right to have them put out if they are burning.
Nevertheless, when they set fire to it last year, it was put out just the same.
Oh, he did that himself, clandestinely. But it's not I who would report him.
Neither would I.
Mr. Fire Chief, since you're not too pressed, stay a little while longer. You would be doing us a favor.
Shall I tell you some stories?
Oh, by all means, how charming of you.
Yes, some stories, hurrah!
And what is even more impressive is that the firemen's stories are all true and based on experience.
Oh, I speak from my own experience. Truth, nothing but the truth. No fiction.
That's right. Truth is never found in books, only in life.
Begin.
Be quiet. She is beginning.
Pardon me, but please don't look at me that way. You embarrass me. Come on, you know I'm shy.
Isn't he charming?
Well, I'll try to begin anyhow. But promise me you won't listen.
But if we don't listen to you, we won't hear you.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I told you. He's just a boy.
Oh, the sweet child.
Chin up.
Well then, the dog and the cow. Come, sit. The dog and the cow, an experimental fable. Once upon a time, a cow asked another dog, Excuse me? Why have you not swallowed your trunk? Pardon me? Replied the dog. Why, it's because I thought that I was an elephant. See, it's because I thought I was an elephant and his trunk is...
What is the moral?
Oh, well, that's for you to find out.
He's right.
Tell us another.
Right? A young calf had eaten too much ground glass. As a result, it was obliged to give birth. The calf brought forth into the world a cow. However, since the calf was too little, the cow could not call it mama, nor could he call him papa because the calf was too little. The calf was then obliged to get married. And the registry office carried out all the details completely a la mode.
A la mode, Cayen?
Like tripes.
Oh, you've heard that one.
It was in all the papers.
It happened not far from our house.
I will tell you another. Come, sit. I sit again. The cock. Once upon a time, a cock wished to play the dog. However, he had no luck because everyone recognized him right away.
On the other hand, the dog that wished to play the cock was never recognized.
I'll tell you one. The snake and the fox. Once upon a time, a snake came up to a fox and said, "It seems to me that I know you." The fox replied, "Me too." Then said the snake,
Give me some money!
"A fox doesn't give money," replied the tricky animal, who, in order to escape, had jumped down into a deep ravine full of strawberries and chicken honey. But the snake was there waiting for him with a Mephistophelian laugh. The fox pulled out his knife, shouting, "I'm gonna teach you how to laugh!" Then he turned his back, taking flight. But he had no luck. The snake was quicker. With a well-chosen blow of his fist, he struck the fox directly in the middle of his forehead, which broke into 1,000 pieces. "Oh!" while he cried, "No, what I know and not your
Interesting.
It's not bad.
My congratulations.
That's not so good. And anyhow, I've heard it before.
It's terrible."
But it wasn't even true.
Yes. Unfortunately.
It's your turn, my dear.
I only know one. I'm going to tell it to you. It's called The Bouquet.
My wife has always been a romantic.
She's a true Englishwoman.
Here it is. Once upon a time, a fiancé gave a bouquet of flowers to his fiancée, who said, "Thanks." But before she had said thanks, he, without saying a single word, took back the flowers he had given her in order to teach her a good lesson. And he said, "I take them back." And he said, "Goodbye," and took them back and went off in all directions.
Oh, charming.
You have a wife, Mr. Smith, of whom all the world is jealous.
It's true. My wife is intelligence personified. She's even more intelligent than I. In any case, she's much more feminine. Everyone says so.
Let's have another, Mr. Fire Chief.
I don't know. It's too late.
Tell us one anyway.
I'm too tired.
Please do us a favor.
I beg you.
No.
You have a heart of ice. We're sitting on hot coals.
I implore you.
Righto.
He agrees. He's going to bore us again.
Shh. No luck. I was too polite.
The head cold. My brother-in-law had, on the paternal side, a first cousin whose maternal uncle had a maternal grandpa who had taken for his second wife a young native, a woman whom his brother had met on one of his travels, a woman of whom he was enamored by and by whom had a child, who had taken for his wife an intrepid lady pharmacist, who was the daughter of a unknown fourth-class petty officer of the Royal Navy, whose brother had an aunt who spoke Spanish fluently, and who was none other than the long-lost daughter of an engineer who died young, whose brother was the friend of an owner of a vineyard which produced mediocre wine, whose son had taken for his wife a very pretty young woman, a divorcee, who had for her first husband the son of a loyal patriot who, in the hopes of making his fortune, had managed to bring up one of his daughters so that she could marry a footman who had known Rothschild. Right. Whose brother, after changing his trade several times, had married and had a child whose stunted great-grandfather wore spectacles, which had been given to him by a cousin of his who had known a man from Portugal, the natural son of a miller, not too badly off, who was the foster brother of a former country doctor, who was himself the foster brother of a son of a forester, who was himself the foster natural son of another former country doctor, who had been married 3 times in a row, whose third wife was a...
I knew that third wife, if I'm not mistaken. She ate a chicken sitting on a hornet's nest.
That's not the same one. As I was saying, whose third wife was the daughter of the best midwife in the region, and who was early left a widow.
Like my wife.
Who had married a glazier who was full of life, and who had by the daughter of a station master, a child who had burned his bridges.
His bridges?
No, his bridge game.
Who had married an oyster woman, whose husband's brother, a mayor of a small town, had married for his wife a blonde schoolteacher, whose brother, a fly fisherman.
Oh, a fly by night.
Had married another blonde schoolteacher named Marie. 2, whose other brother had married another blonde schoolteacher named Marie.
Since she's blonde, she must be a Marie.
Whose father had been reared in Canada by an old woman who was the niece of a priest whose grandmother, occasionally in the wintertime, like everybody else, caught a cold.
A curious story. Almost unbelievable.
If you catch a cold, you should get yourself a coat.
A useless precaution, but absolutely necessary.
Excuse me, Mr. Fire Chief, but I did not follow your story very well. At the end, when you got to the part about the grandmother of the priest, I got mixed up.
One always gets mixed up in the hands of priests.
Oh yes, Mr. Fire Chief. Begin again. Everyone wants to hear.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to. I am on official business. Oh, it depends on what time it is.
We don't have the time here.
But the clock.
It runs badly. It's contradictory and always indicates the opposite of which hour it really is.
Oh, that's curious.
Madam, sir,
What do you want?
What have you come in here for?
I hope Madam and sir will excuse me, and these ladies and gentlemen too. I would like to tell you a story myself.
What is she saying?
I believe our friend's maid is going crazy. She wants to tell us a story too.
And who does she think she is? Oh.
Why are you butting in?
This is really uncalled for, Mary.
Oh. But it is she. Incredible.
And you
Incredible. Here?
What does all this mean?
you know each other?
And how?
I'm so glad to see you again.
This is too much! Here! In our home! In the suburbs of London!
It's not proper!
It was she who extinguished my first fires.
I'm your little fire
If that's the case, dear friends, these emotions are understandable, human, honorable.
All that is human is honorable.
Even so, I don't like to see it here among us.
She's not been properly brought up.
Oh, you have too many prejudices.
Oh, what do I think? Is that a maid? Even though it's none of my business. Is never anything but a maid.
Even if she can sometimes be a rather good detective.
Oh, let me go.
Don't
Come
be
here.
upset. They're not so bad, really.
You two are very touching, but at the same time, a little.
Yes, that's the word exactly.
A little too exhibitionistic.
There's a native British modesty. Forgive me for attempting yet again to define my thought. Not understood by foreigners, even specialists, thanks to which, if I may thus express myself, of course, I don't mean to refer to you.
I was going to tell you.
Don't tell us anything.
Oh, yes.
Go, my little Mary. Go quietly into the kitchen and read your poems before the mirror.
You know, even though I'm not a maid, I also read poems before the mirror.
This morning when you looked at yourself in the mirror, you didn't see yourself.
That's because I wasn't there yet.
All the same, I could perhaps recite a little poem for you.
My little Mary, you are frightfully obstinate.
I'm going to recite a poem then. Is it agreed? It is a poem entitled The Fire, in honor of the fire chief. The fire. The polypoids were burning in the wood. A stone caught fire. The castle caught fire. The forest caught fire. The men caught fire. The women caught fire. A bird caught fire. The fish caught fire. The water caught fire. The sky caught fire. The ashes caught fire. The smoke caught fire. The fire caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. Wow!
That sent chills up my spine.
And yet, there was a certain warmth in those words.
I thought it was marvelous.
All the same.
You're exaggerating.
Now wait just a minute! I admit this is all very subjective, but this is my view of the world. My world, my dreams, my ideals. And now this reminds me that I must be off. Since you don't have the time here, I must tell you that in exactly 3/4 of an hour and 16 minutes, I will be having a fire at the other end of the city. Consequently, I must hurry, even though it will be quite unimportant.
What will it be? A little chimney fire?
Oh, not even that. A straw fire. And a little bit of heartburn.
Well, we're sorry to see you go.
You have been very entertaining.
Thanks to you, we have passed truly a Cartesian quarter of an hour.
Speaking of that, the Bald Soprano.
She always wears her hair in the same style.
Ah, then goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
Good luck! And a good fire.
Oh, let's hope so, for everyone.
A pocket knife for my brother, but you can't buy Ireland for your grandfather.
One walks with feet, but one heats with electricity or coal.
He who sells an ox today will have an egg tomorrow.
In real life, one must look out of the window.
One can sit down on a chair, but a chair doesn't have any.
One must always think of everything.
The ceiling is above, the floor is below.
When I say yes, it's only a manner of speaking.
To each his own.
Take a circle, caress it, and it will turn vicious.
The schoolmaster teaches his pupils to read, but the cat suckles her young when they are small.
Nevertheless, it was the cow that gave us tail.
When I'm in the country, I love the solitude and the quiet.
You're not old enough yet for that.
Benjamin Franklin was right. You are more nervous than he.
What are the 7 days of the week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Edward is a clerk. His sister Nancy is a typist. And his brother William is a shop assistant.
An odd family.
I prefer a bird in a bush to a sparrow in a barrow.
Rather, steak in a chalet than gristle in a castle.
An Englishman's home is truly his castle.
I don't know enough Spanish to make myself understood.
I'll give you my mother-in-law's slippers if you give me your husband's coffin.
I'm looking for a monophysite priest to marry our maid.
A bread is a staff, whereas bread is also a staff, and an oak springs from an oak every morning at dawn.
My uncle lives in the country, but that's none of the midwives.
Paper is for writing, the cat's for the rat, cheese is for scratching.
The car goes fast, but the cook beats batter better.
Don't beat turkeys, rather kiss the conspirator.
Charity begins at home.
I'm waiting for the aqueduct to come and see me at my windmill.
One can prove that social progress is definitely better than sugar.
To hell with polishing!
One doesn't polish spectacles with black wax.
Yes, but with money, one can buy anything.
I'd rather kill a rabbit than go sing in the garden.
Cockatoos! 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 Cockatoos!
Such caca. 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 Such caca.
Such cascades of cactus. 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 Such cascades of cactus.
Dogs have fleas, dogs have fleas.
Cactus, coccyx, crocus, cocoded, cockroach.
In Casca, you in Casca.
I'd rather lay an egg in a box than go steal an ox.
Let me gnash my teeth.
Crocodile.
Let's go and slap Ulysses.
I'm going to live in my cabana among my cacao trees.
Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts. They yield cocoa. Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts. They yield cocoa. Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts. They yield cocoa.
Mice have lice, lice haven't mice.
Don't roosh my brood.
Don't smooch the brook.
Groom the goose, don't goose the groom.
The goose groom.
Groom your teeth.
Groom the bridegroom. Groom the bridegroom.
Seducer, seduce.
Scaramouche.
Save me too.
Go take a douche.
I've been goosed.
Satan Touche stoops to my cartouche.
Who'd stoop to blame, and I'd never choose to stoop.
Robert
Browning.
Rudyard.
Kipling.
Robert Kipling.
Rudyard Browning.
Silly gobble gobblers. Silly gobble gobblers.
Maniera. Spot the plot.
Krishnamurti, Krishnamurti, Krishnamurti.
The Pope elopes, the Pope's got no horoscope, the horoscope's bespoke.
Bazaar. Baltic. Bazooka.
Huzzah. Boat. Brazier.
A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U-I.
B, C, D, F, G, L, M, N, P, R, S, T, V, W, X, Z.
From sage to stooge, from sage to surge.
Choo-choo! 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 Choo-choo!
It's
Not
That
Way!
It's
the
Here!
It's not that way,
it's over here!
It's not that way, it's over here!
It's not that way, it's over here!
and eaten the fish and chips and the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Smith.